All right, so let's take a look at which Warframe is getting vaulted next and which Warframe is probably getting released next with a Prime. So in order to do this, what we're going to do is we want to go into Google and we're going to type in Warframe release dates. And what that's going to do is pull up this web page right here where we have comparisons and release dates. So we're going to click this once, which I've already done, and it organizes everything from 2012, you can see, 13, 14, etc. And we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. Now, at any given point, not counting Prime Resurgence frames are like DE's fun little way to take old vaulted frames and revive them and bring them back. We're not counting those in what we're saying here. So what we're going to do to figure out the next Prime frame to come out is we're going to count the 7 frames that are currently in the game. Because there's always only 7 first-time Prime frames available in the game. That's key that you understand the first time here. So we have Wisp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Haro is still farmable. Nidus, with the release of Wisp recently, just got vaulted. So what we know for a fact is that the very next frame to get vaulted is going to be Haro, because he is up now. He has already been in the game for approximately coming up on 18 months. And that's typically how long that DE gives us to farm these frames for the very first time. We have about a year and a half to farm frames before they wind up getting put into the vault. So we know Haro, for sure, is the next one to get vaulted. But who's the next frame that's going to come out after Wisp? So if we take a look at what I've done here, I've organized all the Prime frames that have come out and the dates that they've come out. I've even totaled the amount of frames per year that have come out. So, you know, the game just basically started 2012, so we have 1 frame, that's Excalibur Prime. That's really founders only. So moving forward, we're going to see 2013. We have 3 frames came out that year, Frost, Mag, and Ember. And I've also kind of separated these, if you can see it, into different colors here for different quarters of the year. And a couple of fun things is apparently frames just do not get released in January. And I can kind of understand why from a business perspective. It's right after the holidays. Everybody's already blown their money on Christmas gifts. So January is probably the worst time for companies to be trying to make money because everybody's already broke. So it's kind of like it would just be a waste. So it's kind of interesting if we ever see a frame come out in January. That is pretty ballsy, DE. That's pretty ballsy. But we could see that there's typically only 1 frame that ever comes out any year during the first quarter of the year. There's only 1 frame that comes out in the second quarter of the year, 1 frame that comes out in the third quarter of the year, and sometimes there are 2 frames that come out in the fourth quarter of the year. As we can see in 2022, we had Revenant and Baruch. In 2019, we had Atlas and Ivara. So it is possible that even though Wisp is a kind of a little bit of a late baby here, Wisp Prime, we may see the next frames being for this year being October and December releases. But how do we know what the next frames are? Well, I've taken this and I've kind of said like, all right, let's organize all these frames into vanillas and primes because typically that's how that's how we figure it out. We scroll to the bottom here, we can see all these frames have primes. I mean, do not have primes. So it is very, very likely that they are next. Now, when you see like a green here, that just means it kind of fell in order. A lot of times, especially in the beginning of the game's existence and its release, things were really messy. DE was still, you know, going through puberty and figuring themselves out. So we have like Trinity was the next frame after Excalibur, but then Trinity Prime didn't come out until I don't know how many frames later, 12 frames later, 11 frames later, as far as primes go. So this is very out of order, but we notice that as we scroll down even further, let's start with like Oberon here, or even right here, we have Necros, Nova, I don't know where Nova falls here, but we have Necros, then we have Valkyr, right? Oberon, Zephyr. These are all, the point is these are a lot closer together than the messiness that is this, especially with this representing about a 2.5 year time period of like when the frame came out and then when it was finally released in a Prime variant. So this time frame shrinks significantly. And we're finally getting to the point where everything seems to start to be lining up. It's kind of lining up in order right here. So we have Baruch came out, and then Baruch Prime was next, right? Hildren came out, and then the next Prime in order would have been Hildren Prime. Now, I'm not saying when Hildren comes out that it's, you know, like the very next Prime is Hildren Prime. Like, Kalervo just came out. I'm not saying we're going to see Kalervo. But you can see the emptiness here is what I'm getting at. And this is where we'll get to the point. So the next frame that does not have a Prime is Gauss. And because DE always follows a male-male, female-female order in which they release things. Male-male, female-female, male-male, female-female, male-male, female-female. You see my point here. They follow a male-male, female-female release. So we just had 2 females. We should expect Gauss to be next. Gauss Prime. And then we should expect Grendel Prime to be next. So this is important for multiple reasons. I'm going to get into a couple more reasons why this is important to know this. And even some more as we go down the list. For you guys to be able to make like quick and easy platinum. For you to not make mistakes and sell things you shouldn't be selling because you didn't understand the timing. So we're going to go over that right now. But Gauss is next. And then we should expect Grendel. And then we have 2 females, Protea. Zaku is non-binary, but probably makes sense that Zaku is going to fall under a female release because after Zaku, then we have 2 more males. And then we have female, male, female, male, female, female, male. So the next normal frame's probably going to be a male frame, whatever it is. But knowing this now, we're going to take a look at why this is important to know. So if Gauss or Grendel do wind up being next, which they should be, one of these 2, hopefully Gauss, and then Grendel, hopefully they follow that order. But if Gauss is next, then what we want to know is that what signature weapons came with Gauss. And this is actually a really big deal because, as you can see, I've already looked through the rest of the frames in order that are coming out, or the order that they potentially are going to be coming out. And what I found, is that Gauss right here is the only one for the next couple of years that actually has 2 signature weapons. This matters because when a frame has a signature weapon, there's always going to be a Riven, you know, that you could get for it. There's Rivens you can get for any weapon in the game, for the most part. So we want to hold on to any Exceltra Rivens that we have or any Icarius Rivens that we have. If you're watching this video now, you may want to see if you have any or maybe start stocking up. You can probably get these pretty cheap, but the longer this video's out, the closer that it gets to Gauss being released, especially after they release him and the whole world's going to know like who the next frame is, then the prices on these things are going to start to climb. And as we just saw with Wisp, for Fulmin Rivens, we're going for anywhere between 250 and 400 platinum unrolled just before Wisp came out. And when I say just before, I mean like a month before Wisp came out. People were buying those things between 250 and 400 platinum unrolled. Don't even have to have good stats. That is fantastic platinum and absolutely worth you guys knowing this and paying attention to what the signature weapons are going to be. So keep a lookout for the Exceltra and the Icarius. If you get any Rivens for these, hold on to them right now. If you want them for yourself, that's cool. But if you want to make platinum, easy platinum, the more you hold on to this. I personally recommend, and this is going to go for every next thing that we're going to that we're going to cover here. It probably, if you're not going to hold on to the Riven for yourself and you do want to sell it and make platinum, you are better off not rolling it, and you are better off selling it before the frame comes out. Because, I'm going to point this out, this is going to sound however you want to take this, but it's the way people behave, so it's just kind of a thing. If you sell these Rivens now, they are going to be easier to sell for 250 to 400 before the frame comes out. Because when the frame comes out, and these weapons wind up getting primes, if the weapon sucks, no one's going to want the Rivens you stocked up on. So if you are stocking up on Rivens and storing them, the recommendation is to sell them for 250 to 400. The likelihood of any of these Rivens for any of the frames that we're going to go over now, except for maybe Caliban, Lavos. When we get to him, you'll see why. Except for maybe Lavos. But for the Exceltra and the Icarius, it is not likely that when this drops, these primes are going to be so much better than average that you're going to make 1,000 or more platinum off of these Rivens. So I do recommend you sell them for 250 to 400 just before the release of Gauss here if you get these. Now, what I just said is going to apply to all these other frames except Lavos, and we'll get to that. Grendel, right here, has a signature Maceter. So if you get a Riven for the Maceter, which is a melee weapon, you could hold on to that because Grendel potentially, from the screen that I just showed before, the other Excel sheet, potentially could be getting dropped in December. Probably not January, but if not December, then maybe February would be next. Either way, within the next 6 months, we're probably going to see a Grendel in the game. After Grendel, we have Protea. Protea's signature weapon is the Velox right here. So if you get any of these Rivens, you could hold on to this because this is probably within the next year that people will be looking for these. And then Zaku also probably within the next year. Zaku's weapon is the Quasis, if I'm saying that right. So hold on to any Rivens that you get here. Now that we're at Lavos, this is what you'll see. Maybe some of you will understand why this is interesting. So Lavos' signature weapon is the Cedo. The Cedo is a big flippin' deal in the game. A lot of people really love this shotgun. They really love running around with this thing. It has really good use cases. So people definitely, I mean, even to this day, when was the last time you saw someone care about a Quasis Riven? Right? Not really. When was the last time you saw someone care about a Velox Riven? I mean, I spend a lot of time in trade chat, so I actually saw this one recently, but I don't see it a lot. For Grendel, it's been a long time. I have not seen anyone care about the Maceter, but when we get here to Lavos, the Cedo, almost daily. People care about this weapon, and they definitely care about Rivens for this. So this one is potentially likely to maybe be worth more than 400, 500, 600. This one potentially, if you get some good rolls on this, I mean, even now, if you get good rolls on this, like a god roll for this this weapon, you're looking at more than 1,000 platinum for a god roll on a Cedo Riven. So if you do wind up getting one of these are a really big deal. If any of you were like, I don't know, like venture capitalists or whatever the right word is here, entrepreneurs, you can start stocking up on Cedo Rivens right now and then wait for, it looks like about a year, maybe a little more than a year, and just start pushing them when that time comes around. But keep in mind, that is a risk. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what they're going to do in the game. They have made changes in the past before that have made things that we might have stocked up on to make a lot of platinum then completely useless. So everything you do with platinum and investing in Warframe to make platinum is completely a risk, and that's something that you need to be aware of. Or none. Just hands down, always be aware of that. After Lavos and the Cedo, we have Sevagoth and his Epitaph. Don't really see this weapon a lot, but still, the same rules apply. If you collect one of these, then years later, it's probably going to be like 250, 400 platinum people going to be spending. But then also, again, that's like a year or two from now, and we're really kind of projecting prices and how much it could potentially be worth. So don't necessarily bank on exactly what I'm saying. Every quarter of the year, I make a video like this, and I will let you know if, like, each video, you'll get kind of a readjustment on prices and really what things are going for. But currently, at the moment, it's like 250, 400 for unrolled Rivens. So again, with Gauss coming up next, hopefully, or Grendel coming up next, hopefully, if you wind up getting any of these Rivens, you're looking at 250 to 400 platinum for those. This gets really interesting, and I think I'll just stop here after Ureli. Ureli has a signature, if I can find it. Ureli has a signature where, this is weird. Currently, Compressa lacks a signature weapon bonus with Ureli. I guess that's all it's saying. It's just lacking a signature weapon bonus. So I read that, and I'm like, wait a minute. Everything else says signature weapon, signature weapon. This one says lacks a signature weapon bonus with Ureli. So I looked into this and I'm like, okay, so are you considering this a signature weapon? Because that's important to know if this is going to get released with Ureli as a primed weapon. So I went and looked up the Compressa, and this is what we want to look at. Tenno. It says Tenno right here under the compressor. It also says Compressa is Ureli's signature bubblegum pistol sidearm. So it is her signature weapon. That's verified now. But if you guys didn't know this, most of the time, if not majority of it, if not all the time, when weapons get primed, they are Tenno weapons. The weapon is considered Tenno. if I looked up the Grakata, this wouldn't say Tenno, it would say Grineer. If I looked up like a Corpus weapon, it'll say Corpus. Infested, it'll say Infested. But Tenno weapons tend to be the only ones, typically, that wind up getting primed variants. So, yes, I guess we are looking at the Compressa is potentially getting a prime variant eventually when Ureli comes out in probably about 2 years. But I think that's enough information for now to get a lot of you super prepared for what's to come in Warframe. And hopefully you guys are excited and everything. If any of you do feel like becoming Patreons, I have coaching sessions every week. And I know a lot of you saw this Wisp Prime come out recently, and you were like, oh my god, they killed the prices. Warframe market killed the prices, and they're just terrible, and all that. And I find it kind of funny because I've been preparing everybody in my coaching sessions, my Patreons and VIPs in my Discord. We do those once a week, and I've been just educating them on the game and everything. And as much as they agreed the prices suck, not a single one of them failed to make under 1,000 platinum when Wisp came out. Most of them made over 2,500 plat with like day one, like the first day that Wisp was farmable. So there's a lot of information and stuff that's like all extra. And if you guys really want to get good at making platinum, you can feel free to become a Patreon, join the coaching sessions. There's a lot of extra bonuses and material that I have there as well. I really try to over deliver, but regardless of that, you could also catch me on Twitch, pick my brain over there, ask questions and all that sort of stuff. And thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one.